Okay, welcome back. What we're going to do is add more functionality to our date class. The one thing that we still can't do, despite all the videos that we've made, is compare two dates, whether one's less than, greater than. We certainly can do equals. That's in our toolbox. But let's say that we've got, let's say 120, 112, 220. And we'll make this 712, just to change it up a little bit. 24, and make this 2019. All right, we want to print out which one is less than or greater than. Okay, and you can't do this. Don't even go there. If x is less than y, then you could print out x is less than y. Otherwise, it's greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to y. See, right off the bat, you can't do that. There's no the operator less than or greater than or equal to whatever. Okay, it's not defined for my dates, so you can't do that for objects. So remember, x's and y's refer to memory locations, they're references, and you really can't compare references in terms of if one's less than or greater than. And if you can't do it that way, then you have to resort to a method. And the method that they want you to create in your MyDate class looks like this. Compare to, okay, and there's a method compare to. There's an error there still that isn't defined yet. And see, right now the way this works is this has got to return true or false, but it doesn't make any sense. X dot compare to is supposed to compare x and y, but when you compare x and y, there's three states you have to worry about: whether x is less than y, whether x is equal to y, or whether x is greater than y. And so to fix that, what they want you to do is say, instead of having this return two states, which is a Boolean, when you need three states, what happens is, what you're going to do is have this function return a value that's negative, okay, that's negative, then if it's less than, okay, it returns a negative number. Don't worry about the error yet because we haven't created it. And so the idea here is, let me put the code here. Okay, compare to. Return, okay, let's do it this way. Jeez, I'm sorry. X dot compare to y. Okay, returns a negative number, negative, if x is less than y. Okay, so basically that's what it does there. If this returns a negative number, okay, then you can do it like that. That's how you do a negative number. Okay. All right. If x is a negative one, I know you'll make this a comment as well. All right. And copy. It will return 0 if they're equal. That's how you get the three different states. Return 0 if they're equal. And let me just do another one. It will return greater than 0 if x is greater than y. That's how you're supposed to write that function. The value that gets returned really doesn't matter. And the only thing that matters is its sign. And if it's 0. It's not hard to remember what you need to do. If you tend to write this, x is less than 0, then you just do less than 0, call the method, and just check to see if it's less than 0. If it's bigger than y, then just do bigger than 0, call that function. So what I want to do here is say, well, let me create this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a quick fix to fix this. Create the method in MyDate4. It looks good to me. Puts it right at the very end. That's great. And now what we're going to do is write a compare to method to get the job done. Let me just copy the code here. Oh, I just did something. I'm sorry. Edit, undo. Let me just copy this code. Copy. And put it over here, and then it'll all make sense. Okay? Let me call this Y. Y. Okay, that should work nice. So what we're going to do, knowing that, see, implied X is the this pointer. This is pointing to the X. And now, and it's guaranteed that X is going to be an object. Otherwise, you can't execute this. Y is passed as a MyDate4, so there's no casting that needs to be done. If you just compare you start from the years, the months, and the days. See, if this dot year does not equal Y dot year, then you know right off the bat whether it's greater than or less than. Okay, it's not going to be equal. Okay, because the years aren't. What you're going to do is simply do this calculation. Subtract the years. This dot year minus Y dot year. Okay, now what's going to happen here is if this dot year X, if X's year is bigger than Y's year, then this is going to be a positive number, and that just suffices that X is greater than Y. Now, if they happen to be the same, check the months. Okay, if the months aren't the same, subtract the months. Same logic. Okay, you can now see at this point you know that the years are the same. You wouldn't get the line 182. You would get the 183 because the years are the same, but the months are different. And if you do this calculation, so you subtract the months. If that subtraction is positive, then X's month is bigger than Y's month, and so the dates must be bigger. If it's a negative number, the opposite is the case. And if execution goes to 184, then you just subtract the days. No need to check to see if they're not the same, because you actually do want 0. If the days are the same, you do want the 0 in the subtraction here. And that's basically how you do compares twos. It's usually a series of subtractions of the corresponding fields. And I think this should work. Oh, there it is. Yep, it does work. Right there. Let me close this out. Come over here. All right, let's do this. It does work. Now if I just change this to, let's see, X is less than 0. Wait a second. X is less, X is greater than 0. What's going on here? Whoa. If X, oh, my eyes were deceiving me. Yeah, I thought I saw less than 0. No, this is X is greater than or equal to Y. It's working. Okay, it is working. Let's see, let's make this guy here now. Let's make X smaller then. So let's go do this. Let's make this 5, 24, 20. Okay, so X is going to be less than Y. X is going to be less than Y. There you go. That works. And the equals will come out right as well. Just be you should take my word for it. Now let me show you something here. Let me just copy this code. Oh, pre-prepared code. Come over here. Let's put this up here. The import. Let's source format. And what I want to do is I have an array of 3. Now that we have the ability to compare dates, we should be able to sort dates. Basically, whenever you do a sort, you have to do a compare of some sort. And if you find that one number is less than an object is less than the other, you want to swap values. We're not going to do any sorting routines just yet. There's a nice sorting routine buried within the JDK that you can rely on. Arrays.sort. You pass it the array, and since you pass an array, this sort routine is just going to go ahead and jumble them up in a nice sorted order. Once they're sorted, I'm going to go ahead and use the built-in toString method that's on the arrays class to print out the dates. Okay, and they should be in sorted order. All right, so should this work? Let's run it, and then you get this. class MyDate cannot be cast to a class comparable. Okay, here's the deal. In order to do anything with the JDK, okay, like in this case, the sort, if you do any check, we would say you read about sorting, you don't want to write your own sort routine. Okay, we did go ahead and we created a Compareto method. Okay, now we wanted to use that Compareto method in the sort routine. The sort routine isn't going to use that Compareto method because the array, the MyDate4 class has to be marked as being comparable. Okay, and what do I mean by marked as being comparable? In order, and this is what this is basically saying here. Let's go back to MyDate. What you need to do is invoke what's called an interface, and this is the first time we've actually done this. So let me just go ahead and just copy a little bit more code. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, I'm going to mark this class implements comparable. Okay, this is what I'm doing. What I'm basically saying is this class is going to implement all the methods that are buried inside this interface called comparable. And what we're comparing are MyDate4s. Because you can compare dogs, strings, cats, whatever. What we want to do is say that this class implements this interface, and this interface is the comparable interface, and you're comparing dates. Now, it's not hard to implement that interface. Okay, in fact, let me just temporarily cut this code out. Cut it out. I'm going to sneak it down here and save the code so I don't lose it. Okay, I'm going to get an error here. See, MyDate4 gives me an error. It says, if I hover over the error, it says it must implement the, basically it says this must implement a method called Compareto. Well, I just got rid of that Compareto, and so what I'm going to do is say, well, let's have the JDK help me out a little bit. Actually, Eclipse. Add the unimplemented methods. See, what's inside an interface are all the methods that you have to implement in order to have your class adhere to this contract. And it's not hard to do this, because what I just did is I just said, this is what Eclipse told me. This is what I have to implement. Now, all you have to do is implement a Compareto, and this is what we got here. Okay, and let me just copy this code. Move this over here, get rid of all this other stuff, all this other junk, do a little source toggle, not toggle, source format. Let me just call this Y, just to fix the error a little bit. And see, we've implemented that, and now you might say, well, what's the difference between what we had before and now? You're telling the compiler for sure MyDate4 is bound to, it's guaranteed that the JDK is going to expect a Compareto method in its definition, and it doesn't have to guess. Before it, see, we ran this error. It says, listen, this arrays.sort might not have a Compareto method. So now it's guaranteed to have a Compareto method because it implemented this comparable interface. So buried inside the code of the sort, it checks to see if it implements the comparable interface. Now watch this. Run this. There you go. That's what I expected to see. Nice in order. Okay. There's, the picture of this to be 100 MyDate4s, guaranteed there would be all in sorted order from small to large. And it's all based on the Compareto method that's part of the comparable interface. Alright, so we just got one more video I want to show you on MyDates, and we'll be done with MyDates, promise. We'll see you then.